These numbers show a drop in attendance rates by 4% throughout the state, dropping below 90% for the first time in recent years. The Michigan Department of Education says attendance rates are calculated by dividing the total days students can attend by the total days students actually attend.
We are seeing, high rates of absenteeism, especially in places like Flint, Detroit, other urban centers and rural areas as well.
Flint Community Schools actually had an increase in attendance from the 2020-2021 school year to the 2021-2022 school year, but the data shows the attendance rate is less than 74%. And in Detroit, those numbers are slightly higher with an attendance rate in 2021-2022 at just over 76%. Both districts are below the state's average, which is sitting at a little more than 88%.
It's very concerning.
Sarah Winchell Lenhoff is an associate professor at Wayne State University. She studies attendance and the impact it has on students. Specifically, she has looked into Detroit Public Schools Community District. Lenhoff says what she's found is a community disconnect.
And there was a really strong kind of community bond between who lived in the neighborhood and who went to school. In places like Detroit and Flint, that's not the case anymore. Students are traveling really far to go to schools of choice.
And with school of choice comes transportation issues along with other challenges.
It's a complex array of factors, many of them having to do with poverty, with not having reliable transportation, with having kind of schedules that don't line up with what school schedules are and work schedules, things like that.
For students who are experiencing homelessness, Lenhoff tells me this is also impacting these numbers.
Students who are evicted or who are homeless have really high rates of chronic absence and low attendance.
A steady decline in ACT test scores may have parents wondering what's happening. It's a worrisome trend that the ACT's Senior Director of State Partnerships says started before the COVID-19 pandemic. The average test score for 2022 high school graduates sits at 19.8, the lowest in more than 30 years.
We knew that there was certainly going to be a drop due to everything that students have been through the last few years. But this is actually part of a much larger, serious trend that we've seen for decades now that points to some big systemic inequities in education.
One inequity is limited access to test taking, something we see right here in West Michigan. Districts like Kalamazoo Public Schools and Portage Public Schools don't offer ACT testing. It's one of the reasons why Babington says the nation's average score only includes the scores of 8% of Michigan high school seniors.
It has to do with the fact that the statewide assessment is currently the SAT. So that's the assessment being offered in Michigan, during the school day, which means, again, that those students who are testing with the ACT are really trying to give themselves that opportunity to shine and to put themselves forward.
Still, West Michigan schools haven't been immune to teaching shortages and declines in student success. The same report shows 42% of seniors did not meet any of the college readiness benchmarks.
When we see score declines, that means that students are really facing challenges and having access to a rigorous high school curriculum, which we know is the most important thing for students to have that preparation for post-secondary success.
Starts with mental health.
This morning at the Career Tech Center in Traverse City, something was talked about that in the past wasn't nearly as much.
COVID did a lot to really kind of pull the curtain back and really show us what the problems really are.
Behind that curtain, the mental health of our students. But not anymore. It's center stage and right in the spotlight at events like this morning's Student Roundtable at the Tech Center. For many educators, it's become an essential prerequisite for learning.
Starts with taking care of those needs that our students have before any learning can potentially take place or possibly take place here.
And Lansing seems to agree. In the upcoming budget, the state's allocated more than $500 million to address student mental health and safety.
The money is an incredible investment, and it is one of the most important pieces. It will allow us to move forward. It's the first domino to help us put everything else in place, and I'm really, really excited that we have it this year.
Senator Wayne Schmidt was a driving force in the budget process.
Well, as a parent of a high school student and a college student, I recognize the need. We've seen it within my own family.
He says lawmakers were able to get the funds in place, but that's only half the battle.
The money is there. Now we need to make sure that the healthcare and mental health care professionals are there.
And that's where part of the money goes. Millions of dollars will be spent to train social workers and other mental health professionals. Money will be spent to hire them at local districts, allowing new or expanding existing services for students who need help.
Our clinic was only able to fund 3 days a week of mental health services, and now we're able to have somebody here. We were able to hire a new therapist who's also here. So we have coverage for all students 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, anybody can be seen.
Most students in northern Michigan will notice an increase in mental health programming around schools. There will be more help down the hall more often. Many hope this year's budget has immediate impacts, but also sets a long-term tone for how the state, schools, and students view mental health.
And I encourage all of teenagers and children to continue to advocate for themselves. Keep telling us what you need so that we can build it.